Hello, welcome to the Let's Talk Kids Health Facebook Live Show, episode 29. I'm Dr. Narissa Bauer, your host. I'm a behavioral pediatrician and blogger of Let's Talk Kids Health. As you know, the concept of the show is to share information about behavioral health, parenting, and family wellness. Each week, I plan to bring you topics and guests to help me advance this mission so that we can all talk together. Now, remember, if you're watching this live, you'll have the opportunity to post comments or ask questions of my guest. Let us know you're here by dropping a comment, giving us a like, and using hashtag live. The replay will be immediately available after the broadcast. Please feel free to share this episode with anyone you think would benefit. Now, if you don't want to miss future episodes or maybe check out my past ones, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Narissa Bauer MD, and follow my blog Facebook page, Let's Talk Kids Health. Okay, now on to this week's guest. Let's welcome Dr. Michelle Quirk. In the midst of a lively career in pediatrics, Dr. Quirk discovered that running could change her life. She embraced the sport by becoming a certified run coach with the Road Runners Club of America, a local Girls on the Run coach, and a Disney World loving marathoner. She founded Mindful Marathon to help make running easy and fun for busy professionals. For anyone thinking that running is too hard or that they can't be runners, Coach Michelle is ready to help transform you into a runner. Thank you for coming on the show. I'm so excited to finally meet you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, and I this is great because I haven't yet had a guest come on the show to talk about making family fitness fun. I do a lot with parenting, and one of the main missions that I want is to talk about family wellness, and fitness is really a topic that I think is so important. So thank you, and I can't wait to talk to you more about this.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah, yeah. So, I'm curious because after I read that bio, and you are a pediatrician, now it sounds like you actually weren't a runner early on, right? So how did you decide to finally start doing this and actually do it?
Yeah, I was the kid who struggled through the mile run in school. I really
Uh-huh.
huffed and puffed and struggled my way through all
Uh-huh.
of that. And I really wanted to run. Like I had tried the sport multiple times, but quit a lot of times was very hard for me. And I was not an athlete. When I was a kid, I danced. That was kind of my form of fitness and social stuff. And
Yep.
yeah, just running was way off the radar. And I found it in my early 30s, so a little bit later than a lot of people, but not too late if you haven't started yet.
Yes.
But yeah, I found it during a particularly challenging time in my life. I had just finished my residency and moved to a new place and started a new job and was newly married. And at the time, my dad was diagnosed with cancer.
Mm.
And it was a hard time. And I found myself saying these things at work about fitness and wellness and nutrition and exercise when really I wasn't doing any of those things myself and wasn't really taking care of my own physical fitness and mental fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I decided at that point something needed to change. And I laced on my sneakers and went around my block for 5 minutes. Just, I'm going to do a jog and see what happens. And yeah, it grew out of that. So those 5 or 10 minutes around the block really helped me to clear my head of all the thoughts that were going on with everything else. And it was just, yeah, all of that chaos melted away. And I think that's what kept me going back, day after day and doing
Mm-hmm.
just 5 and 10 minutes at a time, really. And after my dad passed, I really decided, like, hey, I wanted to run a local 5K for a very long time. And I
Mm.
just put it off for a lot of reasons. And so there was no reason to put it off anymore. Like, life is too short and I can run 3 miles. I know I can do it. And so I did it. And that was it. I've been a runner ever since. So that was like
Wow.
9 years ago.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, so I what I heard you say is that it's really important to just be kind to yourself and start small. Like you said, 5 minutes was what you did the first time, right?
That's all I could do.
Yeah. And that was okay, right? But
Yeah.
you just kept going.
Yeah.
And I love that you sort of just set a goal for yourself and you work towards that, right? So I think what what a great way to sort of keep you motivated because I heard you say too that in the past you had stopped, started, but this time around you actually stuck with it. So
Yeah.
it sometimes it just takes that like constant just retrying and doing it over and over again. So congratulations on finally making your goals and wanting to run and doing it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of
That
course.
first 5K was yeah, you would have thought I crossed my own Olympic finish line there.
Oh. Well, I am not anywhere near a runner. I mean, I did have a period in my life where I would do that. And I did do a couple 5Ks, but I stopped. I was in this zone. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm doing it." And then life. You know? And I just haven't had it. I mean, there always seems to be some reason why. But I've now
Hmm.
pivoted to a different form of physical activity. I do Pure Barre now and all of that. But like, what do you say to your clients that are like, "Oh, I just can't," or, well, how do you like get yourself over those mental blocks? That's
Yeah,
tough.
there are a lot of mental hurdles and physical ones too, but
Yes.
mostly mental. I mean, I think number one is maybe find your why. Like figure
Hmm.
out why you want to do it in the first place. And if you are a goal-oriented person, like putting something on the calendar really does work. So picking out that 5K or whatever it is you want to do. It doesn't have to be anything official, but putting it
Hmm.
on the calendar to make a start date is
Yep.
really key. And then making the time in your schedule. We
Yes.
use we use I'm busy or I don't have time as an excuse a lot of the time, and I'm no different. And what helps is to really have a look at your schedule and try to make time for the things that matter, even if it really starts out with just 5 minutes that you give yourself for whatever it is. And that
Hmm.
can be walking or Pure Barre or
Hmm.
cycling, whatever it is. But that exercise piece is so important. And my hope is that once people get started, they love it so much they keep coming back the same way that I did and work their way up from 5 minutes.
Yeah. I guess, so how many marathons have you done? Like
Two
two.
marathons, yes.
Wow.
Two marathons, I don't know how many, 10 half marathons
Uh-huh.
maybe,
Uh-huh.
and a
I
handful of other, lots of other shorter distance races.
Yeah, that's so great. Congrats.
Oh,
And
thanks.
and I was curious because now you also are a running coach and we alluded to that in the when I introduced you. How did you decide to do that?
Yeah, so I think I blame the marathon for that, my first marathon. And I think also my running coach really inspired me to become a student of the sport. So I I did it on my own for the first maybe 5 years or so, and I started working with my own coach at that point when I was starting to get into the longer distances, and that really changed everything for me. It made running so much easier and more enjoyable, and really studying the science behind it and the physiology. Like, of course, we learned this stuff in medical school, but it didn't have as much context for me. And now
Mm-hmm.
going through it, like how we write a training plan and why we do the runs that we do. Anyway, I became a total student of the sport and loved it. And after I came back from the first marathon, I wanted to just shout from the rooftops that everybody should go and run 26 miles and it will change your life. And yeah. And so at that point, I decided that I think I was helping other people to get started with running for a long time, but I didn't realize that that was necessarily going toward the coaching route
Mm-hmm.
until one of my friends and colleagues pointed it out to me, like, "Hey,
Oh.
maybe that you should do this. Like
Yeah.
this you love this, and you talk about running and reading about running, and." training plans and you're coaching girls on the run and you're writing training plans for your friends and family, like maybe you should really do this. And that's what did it. So I became a coach, and I thought for a long time that, I went into medicine to help people,
Hmm.
and I thought that that might be the only way to help people. And then I found this, and so now I can help people in a different way. And I coach adults. I don't coach kids, but this way I can see kids at my clinical job and coach adults when I'm not there. It's great.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned your clinical job, so you are still seeing patients and
Yeah,
managing
yeah,
to do this coaching on the
yeah,
side, right? So,
yeah,
oh, how fun. And what a nice way to sort of still serve people and help people stay healthy, but just in a different capacity. So it must be
yeah.
really rewarding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It spills over, of course we'll get into this, but I've been writing some walking plans for my patients for a long time, and really helping them to get active, and it really all of the same principles apply for adults. So
Yeah, well, so let's get into that because I think obviously we want. I'm a pediatrician, and the title of this talk is like how to make family fitness fun. So, like for those of us watching, listening, and have this question, like how do we motivate or get started with a fitness routine, not just for ourselves, but get our kids and the rest of our family on board? Because we do want to spend more time with our families, but we don't want to necessarily be on screens or doing those kinds of things. We want to be active, right? So how do we do this?
yeah, I think it comes down to finding what you really love to do.
Hmm.
And of course, at the thought of it, people are like running, oh no, I'm going to hate that. But if you go about it in the right way, it doesn't have to be hard and it doesn't have to be an awful experience. But we don't have to do just running. I think it's about finding what would work for each person in the family. What do they like to do? And really putting a priority on getting outside, like just
Hmm.
getting off the couch and outside. That's like step one. And walking is really my favorite thing to tell people to do, because the majority of us can do it. And we can do it as a family, no matter what level we're starting at or how short our legs are.
Uh-huh.
And so, it's something that can easily be done as a family together. And, finding a time is tough for people. Like usually I would say aim for the afternoon or the evening. Mornings can be tough getting, especially during the school year.
Hmm.
But, after dinner or before dinner, like going outside for a short walk as a family is just a really easy way to get some fitness in and get outside and get off of our screens. And we do
Hmm.
that too. So the other thing is, yeah, I think with kids, I mean, they will naturally go toward things that they like to do, but it changes kind of quickly. So, you could set out a couple of different things, but, they might want to jump rope or hula hoop or just it just depends and it changes. But just being, mindful, like if we're all outside in the park, maybe the adults can walk or jog and the kids can do something else, or vice versa.
Hmm.
I've also had people who really like to ride bikes. So my teens, some of them like to ride bikes, and families can walk alongside them, or sometimes they inspire parents to get bikes as well and go on bike rides together. But really finding something that you enjoy, because if you like it, then you'll stick with it. But yeah,
Hmm.
carving out that time is so important. It's hard to
Yes.
do.
Yeah, it is hard to do, but like you said, I mean, just starting small. I
Mhm.
think the biggest take home points that you said too is also finding what the interests are for people. And we don't all have to be doing the same thing. I
Yes.
think you said, parents could be running or walking while the kids are on their scooter or riding their bike, or, somebody could be walking the dog, and,
Mhm.
at least you're outside together and
Exactly.
being active. So that's a great tip because I think that just that thought of, oh my gosh, how are we going to get everybody doing the same thing? I think that, just take that out of there because I don't think everybody has the same interest necessarily.
Yeah.
Um, so actually, Dr. Jess came on and she said, I ran track. I'm all about 400 meters and less. Marathon runners are inspiring.
I would just, I congratulate you. I think I don't have any anaerobic power at all. So those sprints,
Yes.
yeah, I like to run long and slow. That's kind of the name of the game. I mean, watching the Olympics right now, I mean, it's just, I'm in awe like every night
Oh
watching,
my gosh.
especially the short distances. But if you want to try the marathon,
Yes.
Jess, I mean, really, it's just a matter of slowing down and being okay slowing down, but you got it in there. I know you
Yeah.
do.
You heard that, Dr. Jess. Okay. So, I think that's something too that right before we went live, we were talking about how some kids, especially those, my daughter at her fourth, fifth grade level, at her school, they started offering something called Pups Running, where they could learn how to do cross country and run towards doing a 2K. And obviously, watching them at their meets, you see some girls just come out like sprinting. Like, how do you advise that, or how do you even get them to learn how to pace themselves? Because it's painful to watch because they still have a lot
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah. Kids, they get very excited, and I think they all go out a little too fast, which we have all done. If you've been in a 5K for the first time,
That energy, and you're like,
yes,
yes.
yes.
Yeah.
So we channel our inner child for that one. But I coached girls on the run
Hmm.
and stride for the boys, and that was what we worked on a lot in training. It's a 10-week program, and there's more to it than simply the running. There's a curriculum. It's wonderful, but we focused a lot on pacing ourselves and not going out too fast because yeah, they poop out quite quickly. But yeah, for the smaller kids, like shorter distances is really is probably best. For the girls on the run and stride, that's really for like the third through fifth graders, so like
Uh-huh.
maybe age 9 to 11. But yeah, it's something that they can definitely learn to pace themselves. And we just worked on that pretty much from the beginning. We just talked about it almost every week. And as the runs got longer, at the beginning, it was okay. They could go out fast. It was a very short distance
Yep.
training run, but toward the ends, to be able to endure that that race. Also, with that program, it's nice because the kids run with a mentor or a family member
Uh-huh.
or a friend, and so it's important. Like whoever they're running with can help be a pacer, which is really nice.
Yes.
So we can
Yes.
start out a little bit more slowly. It's really not about the speed or the pace, just about finishing. But that's hard when you're a kid and you're excited and especially on race day.
Yes, of course, of course. And you're like, "Oh my gosh, look at how fast they're going. I've got to keep up." So, I mean, there is something good about that motivation and sort of wanting to kind of keep going. But I think, like you said, the focus when you're doing any sort of fitness or physical activity with kids, it should always be just more on the fun aspect, getting outside and, doing your own personal best rather
Yes,
than doing
yes.
comparisons,
Yep, run your own best and run
Yep.
your own race. Yep, yeah. We practice mantras even, with our groups just
Uh-huh.
just to have those. But yeah, it's very true. We want to establish good habits and that it's fun, so that they take that with them and not have bad memories of running. Or
Right.
I know that I did. I
Yeah.
carried with me bad memories of running for a long time.
Hmm. Do you have any sort of like must-dos when you're starting out with running with kids or families, in terms of like stretching, or how important is that? And like if you're only going out for 5 minutes, you have to like what are some of the guidelines or tips that you have about hydration and all that too?
Yeah. I think probably starting low and going slow. That's
Hmm.
like the main rule. So that means start with a very small amount of time, a short amount of time, and go slower than you think you should go. Like so slow that you're like, "Am I running? I don't know."
That's
um,
like more my speed, I'll tell you.
Yes. Walking, start with
Uh-huh.
walking and
Uh-huh.
then do a pace that is just a little bit above a walk. And you can do it between, like I tell people, the mailbox technique. Run, if you're in a neighborhood, you can jog a little bit between the mailboxes for 10 or 15 seconds and then walk again. And a few minutes later, you can do another little jog interval. So it's You don't have to do anything fancy, and you don't
Uh-huh.
have to run the whole way. But start low, go slow. And a warm up can never hurt. So we say to do dynamic warm ups, which
Hmm.
when I think back to running and gym class when I was a kid, we did a lot of static stretches,
Hmm.
which is now what you would do in a cool down. A dynamic warm up means you're really getting the joints and the body ready to run, and everything is getting kind of lubricated and moving a little bit before you do this exercise. So yes, dynamic warm up. There are, lots of things you can do like butt kicks, like high knees, that kind of
Hmm.
thing,
Hmm.
walking lunges, like things that are putting you in motion. But yeah, just a
Yeah.
few minutes of a warm up, and then you can go and do like a little walk run for a short amount of time. That's probably the safest way to get started. And then you can build out from there. You can work up your time from there.
Yeah. And then you mentioned cool down. I mean, is that also an essential part of, when you're doing this, working with kids, modeling for kids, right? Like, is there a time limit? Like, oh, we've ran for X number of minutes, so we absolutely have to do a cool down or
Yeah, I think the shortest run workout we did with our groups was maybe like a
uh-huh.
15 minute workout, and we did a warm up and then the workout and then a cool down. So we
Hmm.
were teaching those stretches early on, and whether it's necessary for such a short time, yes and no, but I think it's for establishing the habit once those workouts get longer. Like we're
Yes.
already used to doing that, and then we really need we
Yes.
really need it so that things don't get sore and tighten up. And again,
Hmm.
it's a time thing. Like, oh no, I don't have time, but you can do 5 minutes of a warm up, 5 or 10 minutes of a workout, 5 minutes of a cool down, and you've got a nice 15-20 minute workout right there.
Wow. Yeah. And how important are good shoes, Coach Michelle?
Oh, yes. Running shoes. Yeah. Running sneakers. I love this question. I think they're probably the most important piece of equipment that you can get, that you have besides yourself and your legs. But getting a good pair of running sneakers is key. And people ask me like, well, what's your favorite pair? What should I get? Or what's the best pair to get? And I'm like, well, my favorite may not, and what works for me may not be your favorite, or what works for you and your foot and your style of running. So I always tell people to go to the running store. Like
Yes.
if you live, if you have a local small store, or if you are near a chain like Fleet Feet, something like that. But they are experts on shoes, and if you Google, running sneakers, there are so many brands and types within the brand, and depending on your running history, what surface you run on, if you've had any injuries, like all of those things factor into picking the sneaker. So ask them, go to the store,
Hmm.
tell them where you're at. It's okay if you're on the couch. That's one thing I want to encourage everybody. Like, don't be afraid to go. They're not going to laugh at you if you're like, I never have run a single step and I don't think I
Yeah.
belong here, because that was me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, but I know I need a pair of sneakers.
Yeah.
But they will help you, and they'll let you try them on. They might have you walk or jog a little bit on a
Hmm.
treadmill in the store so that they can see how it's fitting, and you can give them some feedback about that. But yeah, go there and they'll set you up, and they want you to come back and keep, buying running sneakers from them. So you may feel intimidated to go in there. I know it, but it's not. It's a really fun experience, and then you'll keep going back for more fun things.
That's right. That's right. I remember I did that too. Again, in my little time limited time when I did some 5Ks, I remember like, oh my gosh, I'm walking into a runner store and I'm not really a runner. I think they're gonna know, but
No,
and then they, lace it up, but they look at so many things, your gait, and like how your feet, your pronate or all of these different things. So I mean, there is a lot that goes into it, and the shoes are so important. So
yeah,
important.
yeah. And they can feel, yeah, when I know when a pair is starting to wear out, and then I put on a new pair, it feels like clouds. It's so lovely.
That's so fun. And I think too, it might be a nice way to get kids motivated. Like they're like, "Oh, I have some great
Yes,
shoes, right?"
yes, yes. Colorful shoes, bright shoes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. In the office, I'm always like noticing. I guess I really do notice the running, the sneakers, and I'm always like, oh, those are pretty sweet. Are you a runner? And so sometimes they're like, no, I just like the color. Like, okay.
Well, if you ever want to, you've got the perfect set right there. So. Dr. Jess came back and said, I have flat feet, so I have to get assessed. It's so
Yeah.
important, right?
They do, yeah. For flat feet, I mean, I'm not sure, Jess, did you run with any kind of inserts maybe? Like they have, uh, yeah, they have inserts that you can put in sneakers, and they have other sneakers that already have a lot of arch support in there. But yeah, there's many options. But take
Hmm.
yourself to the store and have them look at your feet and try on a couple of pair.
Yeah, it's so important. And I think again, it's a nice way to sort of kick off like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. If your child again expresses interest in running and running with you, what a great way to model those habits. I don't want to get away from that message that, I think in general, knowing your why, setting goals as a family, picking a sport that you can maybe sort of mix and do things together. And then once you're committed and you're going to try it, get them excited and set some small goals and start there, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
love all of it.
So I guess, just in closing, for those people who are like, wow, she does coach, and I'm kind of thinking about maybe starting, I don't know, and if they want to maybe reach out to you, how can they get a hold of you? How can they find you?
Yeah, I think the best place is on my website. It's mindful-marathon.com.
Uh-huh.
And don't worry, if you're starting from the couch, there's a walk plan on there, and that would be great for families if you wanting to get into like a walking or a jogging routine. It's just a
Uh-huh.
4 week plan. You can print it out, put it on the fridge, and kind of check it off as you go. But it
Nice.
starts at 5 minutes, and it'll work up from there. And there's also a free workshop on how to get started with running, whether you're coming from the couch or you're a walker, but you're a little bit nervous to get into running. So there are two resources there. There's a blog with lots of info. I have a YouTube channel called Mindful Marathon. You can find me on Instagram. It's mindful.marathon. And if you want to dip your toe in in the water a little further, I do one-on-one coaching and write a custom training plan. So you can get in touch with
Wow.
me right from the website.
Awesome, awesome. And I'll make sure to put those links in the YouTube video description so that when folks see this episode or catch it on replay or some of the trailers that we'll have, they can always kind of find you. And I hope they do connect. So, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today, sharing your story and some of these, tips for families on making fitness together fun. And also, just to introduce, so next week's special guest, who you also know, Dr. Quirk, is Dr. Rashmi Shrum, who will be talking to us about meditation and mindfulness for families. So I'm really excited to have her on the show. And then just a quick plug, as you know, as a behavioral pediatrician, my thing is ADHD, anxiety, and so I do have another round of Teach Me ADHD. Registration is going to be opening soon, so just keep looking out on social media and my blog emails about that. So if you're on the wait list, you'll have an advanced opportunity to sign up before the general public, and the classes will be starting after Labor Day. And then one more quick plug for my August Parenting Book Club pick. So we are doing Scattered to Focus by Zach Grisham, practical and fun ways to teach kids executive functioning skills for ages 4 to 12, and he will be doing a Facebook Live with me. So if you're interested
Cool.
in reading, just get a copy of the book and start. So, again, if you have any ideas for other guests or topics that you want me to bring to this platform, please make sure to reach out to me at Dr. Narissa at letstalkkidshealth.org, or just drop me a comment below, send me a message on social media, and then remember, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, Narissa Bauer MD, to be alerted live. And you heard Dr. Quirk, Coach Michelle, has her own YouTube channel as well, so please make sure to follow her and get on that and start running. Start getting active, right? All right, well, thank you so much. That's the end of the show, and we'll see you next time.